Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start labeling this. So this top section is the epidermis, like Cassidy said, the epidermis. Okay, leave yourself enough room because it's also called the cuticle and the cutis. Cuticle and cutis. And it has nerves. I'm going to put this on the other side. Nerves, no blood vessels. So if you get a paper cut, okay, it hurts, but it doesn't bleed unless it's deep. Okay, so when you just hit that top part, that epidermis, it's going to hurt, but it's not going to bleed. Now, your epidermis, this whole thing that we're talking about right here, is as thick as a sheet of paper. So everything that we're talking about right now is this thick. Okay? That's it. That's your top layer of your skin. Okay, so we're going to label it. Okay, the bottom layer, I'm going to start down here because this is where the cells start growing, is the stratum. They all start with stratum. And it has two names. Basal, the basal layer, or the germinativum. Stratum basal, stratum germinativum. Okay, the basal layer is called the basement layer. You can remember it that way. Basement. It's that lowest layer of the epidermis. And if you plant a seed outside right now, it will germinate and start growing. So the cells start growing from here, and in this layer you have melanin that determines the color of your skin. When your cells are in this layer, they're plump and juicy, and they're filled with fluid. Okay, we'll talk about that fluid as we go. No, you don't have to write this down. It's called natural moisturizing factor, NMF, and right now it's inside that juicy cell. As the cells move up, they start getting compressed. So now you're in the stratum spinosum. So think of the cell as looking kind of spiny looking like that. It's kind of getting squished at this point. Oops, let me make that in green. Okay? It mostly has the natural moisturizing factor, the NMF, still inside of it. Maybe it looks spiny like that. The next layer is the stratum granulosum. And now the cells are starting to look more like grains of rice. They're getting flattened. Now some of that natural moisturizing factor is starting to squish out around it. This next layer's a little bit different layer. Give yourself a little bit of room to write. This is the stratum lucidum. Okay. If a patient's in the hospital And the nurse says the patient is lucid. That means their mind is clear. So this is a clear layer, and it's only found in the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. Okay, so this is a clear layer. And it's only found 2 places in your body. The last one is the stratum. This is the top layer, the one we see. Corneum. And now the cells are flat. They're completely keratinized. They're hardened. And the only thing holding them on our skin is the NMF that's now all around it, that's sticky. So when we do a facial and we use a scrub, one of those granular scrubs, we're knocking those dead skin cells off. If we use a chemical exfoliant where we just put it on and we don't rub or anything, we just let the chemical do its thing, it's dissolving the NMF and allowing cells to come off. The faster we can get a cell from here to here, the better your skin looks. So for you guys, it takes you like 19 days to get from here to here. I'm more at like maybe 35, 40 days at this point in my life, so twice as long. That's why my skin doesn't look as good as yours. When you're really old, it's like 90 days, okay? So when people come in and get facials, and the more you can knock this layer off, it will stimulate this to grow more quickly. So that's the purpose of facials. The faster you can turn it over, the better your skin looks. Okay, now we're down here in the dermis. Make sure you have room to write. This is dermis, derma,
What does it say on that side?
true skin. Hang on one sec. Right here,
Yeah.
it says it has nerves but no blood vessels. And on the dermis, I'm just gonna put everything. It has everything. So the best way I can explain this is if your epidermis is only this thick, 1 sheet of paper, your dermis is 25 sheets of paper thick. So you can see it's quite a bit thicker. So that drawing that I always do, I'll just put it down here and I'll take it off, where I make a hair follicle, and I make the sebaceous glands, and I make the sudoriferous glands, and all that stuff. If you think about it, only this much. This is dermis, derma, and true skin. If you think about it, only a little bit of the follicle, you know, a little bit of maybe the sudoriferous gland is in it. That's why everything's in the dermis. Does that make sense? Because this is so thin. So there's no way that anything can be contained in there. Okay, in your dermis, you have the papillary layer, and you have the reticular layer. So just remember, P comes before R in the alphabet. The papillary layer also contains some melanin. Okay, in this instance, the reticular layer is basically where everything's at again, even though it's in this is part of the dermis. This is where your collagen is and your elastin that lets your skin bounce back. You know, if you pull on your skin goes back down. That's when those things start breaking down, that's when you start getting wrinkled. Okay, the bottom layer is your subcutaneous layer, also called adipose tissue, also called fat. Okay? This is the layer that's the shock absorber for our bones. It gives us contour. Okay, it gives us a shape. And I always think about this, if I eat too much food, I'm going to add weight. Adipose. What does sub mean? Like a submarine or a subway. Where are they at?
Under.
Under. So this layer is under the other ones. Okay? Epidermis is out here at the air. Dermis is under it. The fat layer is underneath that. Okay, good?